Happening now up on Capitol Hill, the U.S. Senate is holding a hearing with top transportation and aviation officials on that midair collision over the Potomac River near Reagan National Airport back in January. It was the deadliest crash in the United States in nearly 2 decades. Here is what the chair of the NTSB just said moments ago about the crash.
We determined that the separation distances between helicopter traffic operating on Route 4 and aircraft using runways 15 and 33 are insufficient and pose an intolerable risk to aviation safety. As a result, we recommended that the FAA prohibit operations on helicopter Route 4 between Haynes Point and Wilson Bridge when those runways are being used for departures and arrivals.
All right, let's bring in CNN safety analyst, the former FAA safety inspector, David Soucy. David, thanks for joining us. This hearing will review the NTSB's preliminary report on January's crash. And I'm quoting now, intolerable risk. That seems like a significant admission from the NTSB. What do you think?
Well, I've been in this business a long time, as you know, and I've never once heard an intolerable risk on a scale of this level. It has been bad. It's been scary for a long time. 15,000 incidents, 15,000 close calls with these aircraft over the last 3 or 4 years, and it is intolerable. And my question is, why has it been intolerable for this long?
And as someone who has flown in and out of Reagan National Airport here in Washington for many, many years, I used to see helicopters flying all over the place, and I said to myself, I wonder why all these helicopters are flying here in the Potomac, near the Potomac River, near the airport, where a lot of planes are coming in and taking off. It was never clear to me. But listen to what the chairman of the Senate subcommittee, Republican Senator Jerry Moran of Virginia, said in his opening remarks. Listen to this.
67 lives that were lost on January 29th were taken prematurely in an accident that, by all indications, should have been avoided. Now, the families of these victims, the Federal Aviation Administration, the National Transportation Safety Board, the U.S. Army, and Congress are tasked with how to best honor the memory and make certain accidents like this never happen again.
So what kind of safety changes could we be seeing following what happened?
Well, most definitely the FAA air traffic controllers are going to have to get some support. They're going to have to change the system, figure out how to make that work. But more importantly, the triage, the first part of it, is making sure that there's rules in place that prevent what's been going on, which Chairman Homendy has already mandated and made sure happen with the FAA, which is that the helicopter operations have been ceased through March 31st. But that's a Band-Aid. That doesn't fix things, and I hope that they extend that and keep that going longer. But in the meantime, they have to be looking at what's the long-term fix. The long-term fix is staffing properly and perhaps an overhaul of the whole system to figure out the communications between each other. You know, one of the things that's always bothered me so much, Wolf, is when you are flying in the airport and I'm in the cockpit listening to what's going on, it's always garbled. It's hardly recognizable. And pilots are faced with that every day with the air traffic controller system, the communication system. It's all just audio. It's like an analog stream of information. That has to change. And that's where I think it needs to focus right now.
Yeah, easy solution, a simple solution, not just at Reagan National Airport here in Washington, but at all airports around the country where there are a lot of planes taking off and landing, is to completely bar helicopters from flying around in that sensitive airspace. Just forget about that and move on. What do you think?
Well, I think that's smart. They tried to do that. The FAA has rules, and I remember during Top Gun, you think about that hard ceiling they talk about, or the hard floor they talk about when they're trying to do the dogfights. This is exactly what the FAA, their response to this is to say there's a hard ceiling. Helicopters, when there's operations, can't go above 200 feet, but there's humans involved. And the fact that this helicopter was over 200 feet means that it broke that ceiling. It broke those restrictions. So I think you're right. I think in many circumstances, barring helicopters in a larger distance around heliports or airports is something that definitely has to be considered by the powers that be.
Yeah, it's very significant. All right, David Soucy, as usual, thank you very, very much.